My son suddenly stopped asking for his favorite snacks in his lunch. For weeks, I'd been packing Jake's usual turkey sandwich, apple slices, and those expensive organic crackers he loved. The kind that cost $6 a box that he'd beg for at the grocery store with his puppy dog eyes. But every day, everything came back untouched, except the sandwich. When I asked why, he'd just shrug and mumble something about not being hungry. Maybe his growth spurt was over, I thought. Kids go through phases. His teacher, Ms. Rodriguez, said he seemed fine during lunch, sitting with the same group of boys he always did. Very social, she'd said during our parent conference. No concerns whatsoever. But then Jake started losing weight, dark circles under his eyes like he wasn't sleeping. He'd come home exhausted and immediately crash on the couch, skipping his usual after-school Xbox time. He even stopped wearing his favorite Pokemon shirt, the one he'd worn twice a week since 3rd grade. I started noticing other changes too. He'd flinch whenever I mentioned school events, asked if we could skip the fall carnival this year, which was bizarre because he'd been counting down since August. Last Tuesday, I decided to surprise him with lunch at school. He'd forgotten his water bottle that morning, and I figured I'd drop it off and maybe grab a quick photo for Instagram. I signed in at the office, got my visitor badge, and headed to the cafeteria with his forgotten Marvel water bottle. That's when I saw it. Jake was sitting alone at the end of a long table, methodically eating his plain sandwich, while 4 other boys sat at the opposite end, laughing loudly. His usual snacks, the crackers, fruit snacks, and juice box I'd packed, were lined up in front of them like a buffet. I watched one kid, clearly the ringleader with perfectly styled hair and new Jordans, take a bite of Jake's crackers and nod approvingly. These are good. Way better than my mom's cardboard. Same tomorrow, right, Jake? My son just nodded silently, staring at his sandwich. I stood frozen behind a pillar, trying to process what I was seeing. This wasn't sharing. This was extortion. The other boys were passing around Jake's juice box, making comments about how his mom bought the good brands. One held up the fruit snacks. These are the expensive organic ones from Whole Foods. Score! I marched over, my visitor badge swinging. What's going on here? 3 boys immediately scattered, grabbing backpacks and sprinting to other tables. But the ringleader stayed put, looking up with a sickening, innocent smile. Oh hey, Jake's mom. We're just sharing lunch, building community and friendship. Sharing? I looked at my son. Jake, is this sharing? His eyes filled with tears. Mom, please don't make a scene. Please just go. That's when the ringleader's mask slipped completely. He smirked and leaned back like he owned the school. Jake's dad works at the food bank downtown, right? He should be grateful we let him sit here. Most kids wouldn't want to be friends with someone whose family takes charity. I felt my blood pressure spike. Excuse me? My dad explained it. The kid continued with casual cruelty. People who can't afford their own food shouldn't complain when others help themselves to the good stuff. It's like paying rent for sitting with popular kids. I knelt next to Jake, trying to keep my voice steady. Honey, how long has this been happening? Since the school fundraiser, he whispered. When Marcus found out you volunteer at the food bank instead of writing a check like other parents, he told everyone we must be poor. I stood up and looked directly at Marcus. Your father's going to hear about this, and so is your principal. Marcus laughed and shrugged. My dad's on the school board. His law firm donates $50,000 a year here. He'll just say boys will be boys. I smiled and pulled out my phone, opening my work email. Actually, Marcus, your dad's law firm just hired me as their new community outreach coordinator. I start Monday. His face went from smug to completely white. Wait, what? Guess who's going to be working closely with your father on their new anti-bullying initiatives?